How should you build the hidden potential for the new Teq Metal Cooler Army? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We are taking a look at the brand new June 2026 Dokkan Fest exclusive, the Earth Blanketing Army Metal Cooler Army. And in this video, we're going to be giving our recommendation for the best hidden potential for this character. He's got a lot going on for him, and there's a lot of considerations you need to make before building this. So let's go ahead and hop on in. Let's start by taking a look at the unit. So Metal Cooler Army leads Terrifying Conquerors, Power Absorption for Key 3, HP 200%, Attack and Defense 170%, with an additional HP Attack and Defense 50% for movie bosses, artificial life forms, and target Goku. Super attack effect will greatly raise attack for 1 turn, cause immense damage to the enemy, and raise extreme class allies defense by 6% for 2 turns, right? Very, very useful ability, especially when you have 2 of these popping off with multiple supers of this one. So you want to keep that in mind. Now, he does activate an entrance animation when there are 3 or more movie bosses or Wicked Bloodline category allies on the team upon his entry turn. It will give him a permanent additional 2 attacks, each of which has a 50% chance of becoming a super attack. We'll also give him a permanent key 1 and damage reduction rate 20%. And for 1 turn only, he will have an additional 20%. So 40% damage reduction rate right there on turn 1 off of the entrance animation. Now, per movie bosses or Wicked Bloodline ally on the team, depending on which number has more, you get up to 500% attack and defense. He also has a chance of performing a critical hit and evading enemies' attack and damage reduction rate 50%, or 10% up to 50% per movie boss's Wicked Bloodline, right? So if you want to maximize this guy's both offense and defense, you need to have those Wicked Bloodline characters on the team. Now, he has a really interesting ability that can that you can proc depending on the key spheres you obtain. If you get an AGL key sphere, your chance of evading the enemy's attack is 25%. If you get a Teq key sphere, you launch an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack, as well as lower allies' attack and defense, or enemies' attack and defense 25% for 2 turns, as well as sealing the enemy for 2 turns. Very, very useful skill in fights where you can do that. With 1 int key sphere obtained, he will have a survive KO once within the turn and recover 10% of his HP at the end of the turn. With 1 or more STR key sphere obtained, he gives extreme allies attack and defense 50% for the turn. With 1 Fizz key sphere obtained, he recovers 5% HP of the 5% of the damage dealt as HP. Right, so he can proc up to 4 additional super attacks. Right, so if you launch, right, and he's throwing out about 50 million supers, you know, if he gets all 4 of these supers, that's a 20% increase in your HP, right? Now, the thing about it is it's based on the damage dealt, right? So 20%, right? You know, 20% of that, 200 mil you could have possibly just done could be, that would essentially get a full heal off you. So I think that's probably one of his best abilities, to be completely honest, for healing. It's such characters that have that kind of healing are vastly underrated. It's a very useful ability. He also has attack defense up to 200% the more HP he has remaining. So that's the other thing, right? He's going to get stronger as he increases that HP recovery. Now, for every attack received or evaded, he gets attack defense 30% up to 150 and attack defense 5% up to 25 for all allies who include Cooler, except for Cooler's Armor Squad, and an additional attack and defense 5% up to 25 if their names also include Metal Cooler. So obviously there aren't very many characters who would this apply to. However, for the characters it does apply to, other Metal Coolers or the free-to-play Metal Cooler Squad, or for the full boost, right? For the full 50% boost, but at least for the 25% boost, things like Fizz Cooler and STR Cooler when he gets his EZA, and Fizz Metal Cooler when he gets his EZA will all benefit from this. And now the thing about this ability is active even if he's not on rotation, because it is a permanent buff. And since it is that way, right, you can easily, right, you can easily float off, right, your metal coolers and still have them supporting the team. So it's very, very useful ability. Starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle, he launches an additional super attack. And when he is the first attacker in the turn, starting from the 4th turn, he can call in reinforcements. This is essentially his giant form. Now, it is a transformation. It is a passive transformation, which means you don't have control over it. He does have an active skill, though, that can be activated when you are 50% or less HP, or starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle. Right. Once you use it, it will give a permanent key 1 and attack and defense 30% to the to himself for the rest of the battle. So very, very useful skill. Once he moves into his transformation, again, it's nothing too crazy, but it can go up to 4 turns, as we now know. And each turn he's getting significantly stronger with a 600% attack increase with each one. So very, very helpful here. So as you can see, he's got a lot going on for him. So the question is, how do you build his hidden potential? Well, right, as a tech type, he would naturally want to lean into critical hit, right, maximizing at 20 nodes, which would give him a 40% increase. However, right, he does have, right, a base 50% chance, assuming you're running full movie bosses or Wicked Bloodline, which of course you would be. Why wouldn't you be? So that begs the question, right? Well, if not crit, then what? Well, my recommendation is to lean into his additionals, right? Being a tech type, he can get a max of 15 additionals, which are... where is it here, right? Which is going to get him a 30% chance. And the best thing is, he does have specialized equipment that can be got from the Seriously Serious battles, and both of them include increased defense as well as increased additional attacks. So, right, you could potentially push this with the two levels here, right? You've got a level 3 and a level 6. With these two, right, you would push him to with a full additional build, right? You're going 9 additional, so 24 additional attacks on him fully. If you have him fully built additionals, that's going to be really good. That's going to be a 48% chance of doing an additional super attack. Very helpful. Now, you could go into dodge for his secondary, but he's got plenty of dodge on his kit, especially if you lean into those, the extra dodge he can get by, where is it? Oh, it's just out of his natural passive. It's you don't even need it from the key spheres. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you actually don't really need the dodge. You could give it to him, right? With 50% dodge. But honestly, I would lean into the crit. You're going to want him to be doing damage, right? And while he does have a 50% chance to crit, right? That extra 9, that extra 18 to 20% that you're going to get out of that is going to greatly benefit him for those chances where he fails that 50% proc. Because the chances are the most likely, like with the dodge, right? The little extra dodge you're going to get out of that, out of the sub dodge, it's not worth it, right? And especially at 55%, it's definitely not worth it. Or rather 69%. It's definitely not worth it to go that little extra dodge, because if he fails the 50% dodge proc, he's likely still going to live in most scenarios. If he fails this 50% crit proc, you're dealing significantly less damage. You want the additionals not only for more damage for him, but also for the increased ability with this, right? For every attack he's going to do, that defense is going to increase by 6%, right? So with 4 attacks, you're getting up to, 24% extra defense for your allies. So that's a very helpful ability. So you do want to lean into those additionals. So that is my recommendation for the Metal Cooler Army's hidden potential. Maximize his additionals with a critical hit. If you guys liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know how would you build your Metal Cooler Army if you had him. This is my personal recommendation based on what I think is going to have him benefit this team the most, but I'd be curious to see what you guys think in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.